Good evening, Central Indiana, and welcome to Porch Time with your host, me, live from JTH Construction Studio, where we have a very impactful show tonight with the gentleman I'll introduce here in a minute. And then he wore a shirt just for me, he said, so I'm happy for
not this one.
No, yeah, it's not the one on my left.
It's not that one.
Real quick, I want to cover
Cold in here already, so
it's not cold in here.
No way.
Cover a few things. What's up, Betty? Hello, Trent. Ann, hello. Diane, hello. Teresa, Steve, Samantha. American Basement Solutions, 1-877-409-2837. Fathom Real Estate with Teresa Messmer, 765-341-8911. Drink the Creek, City Creek, May 7th starts it. Tomorrow night we will have Pavlon Direct and Son de Escuela in studio. They open it up with Latin America Fiesta Week out there. Fiesta Night is going to be next Saturday. That's going to be a fun show tomorrow. Findhelp.org. Blandon Boys Lawn Care. Get a hold of them, 765-315-9656. Wayman's Furniture Appliance Mattress, 765-342-4339. Stop in there and tell Mark we said hello. Hello, Faith. How are you, dear? Wellspring. Bob Goodrum, and I'm before we end the show, I gotta mention some stuff that Bob did for us.
Denise said hello.
Huh?
You missed Denise.
I missed
You
Denise.
skipped over Denise.
Denise, hello. I'm sorry. Hello, Becky. Hello, William. Hello, Ricky. What's up, Bill Martin? Wellspring, 765-346-6661. Stids Comfort Systems, 765-346-0195. And, of course, Peggy Mayfield, our state representative for District 60. The election is Tuesday.
what's up, Trent?
So
Early voting till noon tomorrow?
I think so.
Yes.
I
And
don't,
then election day
I
is
don't know.
Tuesday. So.
Hello, Donna.
I have no idea.
Hi, Trent.
Get out and vote, Tim.
All
I
right.
get out and vote, obviously, but
I already voted.
I'll do this real quick before we get to Mr. Ellis. Bob Goodrum nominated us, or
No, he can.
he awarded us
Yes.
Porch Time, and we all received these. They're presidential
Volunteer
service awards, and these are legit. I mean, these are heavy duty. He got us those. He got us a big letter signed, and then Sarah's goodies.
Oh, I didn't open that up.
Yeah, you missed the jackpot on
it's
this
got the
one.
goodies in it.
It's Sarah's goodies gift
my
card,
Goodness.
and
Going there tomorrow.
and I'll read this.
Thanks, Ann.
From hello, Ann. Thank you for the stars. Hello, Frida. Real quick, Kevin, we are so grateful for all you have done for Wellsprings, the families we have served. Your energetic leadership style has been a real blessing. Thank you for having such a big heart and choosing to help us with gratitude, Wellsprings. And then they all signed it. Hello, Marilyn. Hello, Jerry. So I love that for the group because there's a lot of good people that work with us, and they gave us some cool-looking socks too, which
Those are good socks.
I know that I'll wear these socks.
Boo ball, or however you say that. I guess something.
But I appreciate that, Bob. Thank you so much. If you're on, God bless you. He was out at our golf tournament yesterday.
Anna Marie says hello, Mike Ellis.
Anna Marie says hello.
Hello,
Mike.
Anna. How are you?
Teresa said hello, Teresa.
All right, in studio, Morgan County Coroner Mike Ellis is joining us. He has a topic that is hard to cover for a lot of people, but as he said earlier, it's something we all have to go through. And I'm just going to turn the show over to him and let him speak. This has been weighing heavily on him for some time, and we're honored to have you in here, sir. How you doing, Mike?
Pretty good, Kevin. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Well, it's our honor, sir. We enjoy having you in, and you every time we do something, you step up. So we appreciate what all you do for us. So
Appreciate it. It's humbled to be here, and I thank God for the calling on my life. So he's the one that did it. It's him and not me.
you deal with a lot of heartache and pain in your job,
Yes,
and I think that's why you're here today.
yes, it is.
Could you lead us down that path today, sir?
It's really hard. Dealing with death is very difficult for so many of us, if not all of us, at one point in time or another. And in a lot of cases, people just don't want, they want to put off that conversation. They don't want to talk about it. And what I want to do is I just want people to be prepared for when that day occurs. Because one thing I've known is that death will occur to every human being on this earth. everyone will, I call it a door. Death is a door, and everyone will go through that door in this life. And being a pastor, often people ask me, they say, how can you be a pastor and how can you be the coroner dealing with dead bodies? And I tell them, well, God's called me to do this because what better person to have that can be there with someone at the worst possible moment in their life of dealing with the death of a loved one or a close friend or something. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to lift people up first and foremost that have lost someone that's very near and dear to their hearts. It's a very hard thing to have to go through. The other reason I want to do this is for planning, is for the purpose of being prepared should you, heaven forbid, be the person that finds someone that appears to be deceased, whether it is a family member or a total stranger. In the state of Indiana, there's certain rules that you have to go by. There's certain things you have to understand that you have to do. You can't just throw them in the back of your pickup truck and take them to the funeral home. That just doesn't work. And that has actually happened. And I could tell that story in a little bit. But the thing that I need to point out to people is if you have that happen to you, you have to call 911. Now, if it's a family member or someone that has a do not resuscitate order in writing and they have hospice, hospice care is amazing because they set all that up. Because when hospice care happens, you're taking care of someone that is terminally ill. And you don't have to go through the steps of 911 because hospice usually takes care of all that. It's when you have someone that dies. The only time that a coroner is called is if someone dies and it's unexpected. It could be suspicious in nature. It's not planned. They've been in normal, good health all the way up until that moment, and suddenly they're deceased. Well, we need to find out why. Someone dies. You can't just dig a hole in the backyard and put them in it. You have to call 911, law enforcement responds, and you begin a death investigation. And it's unfortunate, but death does happen. And we, as those that remain, have to be prepared to take up and do the planning of what needs to be done. So that's the point that I want to get across tonight is, though we don't want to talk about it, we do need to talk about it. We need family members to know and understand what our desires are should that day come. Oftentimes you don't get time to talk about it. But perhaps maybe if you could have a little family meeting or something and get together and, well, what does mom want? What does dad want? What do we do in the case of XYZ, aunt, uncle, whatever, when that day comes? Because then it still hurts. No matter how prepared you think you are, it still hurts because you've lost a loved one, a friend, someone you've spent your life with and they're close. But that can make it go a little easier.
We've been through it with both our parents. Tim and I have. And the little bit of planning we did, I'm sure it helped out.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing prepares you for the one day they're here, one day they're gone. Even though both of them had cancer, we knew it was coming. But like you said, a little bit of preparedness goes a long way.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can prepare enough.
You can't. No, like you said, they're terminally ill. They have an illness. That something's going on, and it may come sooner rather than later. But when it comes, you're not ready for that emotionally.
You guys you personally deal with this a lot. The grieving side of it.
Yes.
I don't know how you do it, sir. There seems to be a lot of it in this county as of late too.
Mm-hmm. I give God all the glory because He has helped me through so much. And He blessed me with an awesome wife that she is also a deputy coroner. And she does so much to help me, and we help each other. Because some may affect her more than it does me. She's very close to infants and babies. And here recently, we've had to deal with people that we know. Because being a pastor, sometimes I'm called upon to officiate a funeral. From a coroner standpoint, it's hard to look at someone that you might know, and they did it to themselves. They took their own life. It's hard, but I give God the glory because He's prepared my heart for it, because I need to be there. Something we learned in the military was focus. When you focus on the mission, I rely on that training because I have to focus so I can maintain, zero it in on something, so I can complete it and do it the best way I can for the families.
Excuse me. Sam says my mother-in-law passed unexpectedly when she was visiting us in Tennessee. This must have been when they lived in Tennessee. The EMTs there, if they're certified, can act as coroner. It was a mess arrangement, everything to get her back to Indiana. Jackie says hello. Hello, Mike. For information that helps, please.
Hi, Jackie.
You and Deputy are so caring. Donna says.
Hi, Donna.
You got a lot of friends out there. You got a lot of friends out there.
I love them. I do.
I noticed that. It's people like you for some reason, and
I do not know why. I do not know why. It's like the guy sitting across from me. I don't know why he likes me. Maybe he doesn't. He just doesn't.
Well, I told him. I said,
We work together pretty well.
Yes, we do, don't we?
I told him. I said, Mike's.
Focus on the mission.
Yeah.
Said Mike's coming in. Tim goes, well, I got paint to do or something. So I said, yeah.
I think I got a flight to catch, right?
Let's pull that closer to you.
I was actually planting flowers,
Oh,
but I got
okay.
I got that honeydew list done. So
Good job. Good job.
Mike, what are some things, family wise, and we had talked a little bit before this. If you come home and unexpectedly find a loved one or a relative in your house, what are some things that we can do or we should do?
Once you walk in and realize something's wrong, you should immediately call 911. Unless, like we were talking before, if it's hospice, they've already got all the paperwork and documentation set up for that. And they generally are the ones that make the calls to the doctors and all that kind of thing. But if there's no hospice involved, you should call 911 immediately, because law enforcement, state of Indiana, law enforcement needs to be notified. Just that way we cover all the legal bases. Usually when they call 911, they'll get law enforcement, fire, and EMS will respond. And yeah, it's going to be lights and sirens, but that's what needs to occur and needs to happen. If it's something that doesn't appear suspicious in nature, it looks like someone that's probably passed because of a medical condition or something along those lines. If you have like prescriptions for that family member, or you know who the doctor's name is and this kind of thing, then we can call the doctor from the scene oftentimes and find out if the doctor is willing to sign off on the death certificate, because that's what the primary care physician does usually. Then once we make that determination, if they already have a funeral home planned for and everything else, it's just a matter of calling the funeral home, and they'll come and take them into their care, and you can go on with the funeral preparations and that kind of thing. Sometimes you haven't made those arrangements,
Right.
And sometimes we don't even. There's some people that we deal with that's never been to a doctor, don't like doctors, or they're non-compliant in their care. We get there and there's not ice picks sticking out of them. There's no bullet holes or anything like that. Nothing suspicious, but this person is now deceased. So we need to find out why. And so what we'll do is we'll look for any kind of medical history, doctors' names, medicines, things of that nature. And if those aren't found, then I will take them into our care, because we need to make a determination of what happened, of what occurred, of why this person's now deceased. And we'll usually schedule an autopsy. Now, the minute I said that word, there's a lot of people listening right now that probably just freaked out, because when they hear the word autopsy, they automatically go to some horror movie they watched sometime as a kid. Autopsies are necessary, and they're conducted at our morgue by a forensic pathologist. He is a medical doctor. He's certified as a forensic pathologist. And we schedule that with them, and they'll come in and they'll go through and determine the cause and the manner of death. And that's something they also have to be prepared for should someone pass away and they're not under a doctor's care. So it's hard. Death is a hard thing. I think my dad always used to say that, there's two facts of life: paying taxes and dying. I'm sure there's others out there, but death is hard. And I hope by being able to do this, I can offer some words of consolation. I can offer some words of perhaps wisdom or knowledge and help them to kind of ease that load, because no matter how prepared you think you are, when it happens, you're not prepared.
Faith has a great question from a coroner standpoint. What is his opinion importance of a power of attorney or a living will?
Make sure you have all the documentation. Power of attorney, a living will. One of the big things is have a written living will, and also get what's called a do not resuscitate order. Just having do not resuscitate or DNR across your chest tattooed will not get it. You have to have a document signed by your physician that says do not resuscitation. There's different facets or different things that you can have written into that, but it has to be signed by a doctor. And when EMS sees that, they will not start resuscitative efforts because it's been requested by the patient. Power of attorney, make sure that the person that is named as their medical power of attorney is present or on their way, because they can help out as long as it's documented. Not documented, it didn't happen. And so be well aware of what those pre-plans are: living wills, do not resuscitate orders, and things of that nature.
And I know the answer, but can you getting a living will? There's attorneys that handle this, and that's what you want to go through.
Correct. You want to get an attorney. I don't think the cost is that prohibitive to do that, and sit down and talk with them about what you want. But talk with your loved one beforehand to see what you want. What do they want? Because I'm finding out in dealing with families, a lot of times they thought they knew what Uncle Joe or Aunt Rita wanted, but in fact they didn't know, and they find out that they've got pre-arrangements and everything else through a funeral home. It's already prepaid and everything. Sorry.
You're killing our mics over there.
I know it. Mike's killing the mics.
Yeah, it's difficult to sit down with a loved one and talk death to them about it.
Yeah.
But it's extremely difficult to talk about the situation after they're gone.
Yes.
With family members that are all emotional, all distraught, and everybody has, in our situation, 7 different stories from that individual that said, "I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that." Wait a minute, was any of this written down? Is there a power of attorney who's handling the state, and the importance of this and their wish of having this will and their wishes places in prior right.
That way everybody knows exactly what they wanted, and there's agreement, because death brings out the worst in people. And I'll just be blatantly honest, because there are some that it brings out old wounds that have never healed in a family, and it makes it even just that much more difficult. And here again, if people would just, I guess this is the preacher in me, but if people would just come together and take care of those things beforehand, it would do everybody a whole lot more good within their family than have all those hurt feelings and everything else when this happens.
It's a subject that nobody wants to discuss.
It's a subject nobody wants to talk about. And you can ask Debbie.
In lieu of doing it at that time, because emotions are so.
Yes. They could even wait 24 hours, when they've got notification, they know what's going on. I don't pressure people that night or that day or whenever it occurs when I get on the scene. I don't pressure people to do that then. Wait and get your emotions to where you can, try to sleep that night, and the next day then handle the planning, handle the funeral, handle all that.
I told you when you
Bam.
When you got the job coroner.
Yeah.
That
I remember that night.
It's a nice night downtown.
Yes, it was.
You're a better man than me, because you guys deal with this. And unfortunately in our county, and we had an Ed in here, we've had you in here, and the situation with the drug situation and things like that, you're going to have deaths anyway, no matter where you live. But it's amplified right now.
And it is. Nerves are kind of raw right now.
Yeah.
I think we've doubled our
I
last, have
think
we
so,
not?
so far.
Right, that's far.
And this is with Narcan and everything else, and education and training,
Yes.
and we're dying in higher numbers.
One thing I want to clarify. I'm so glad you brought that up, Kevin. An overdose and a suicide are not always the same thing. I was asked once, well, isn't it an overdose? Weren't they just trying to kill themselves? No. There are addicts out there that they take drugs, whether it be fentanyl, laced, heroin, whatever it might be. They're not doing it from a standpoint of trying to kill themselves. They're doing it from a standpoint of getting high, answering the call of their body to get this addiction. And they don't plan on dying. And the unfortunate thing, and this is me talking, Mike Ellis 101, that having all these different things and having Narcan and stuff like that, it is enabling me. And what happens is that when you got this stuff that's coming in from other countries, and people are cutting heroin that they think is heroin, but actually it's fentanyl. And fentanyl is potent. It's dangerous, lethal. And on my toxicology report that I get back on an overdose, and during the investigation they say, oh, his drug or her drug of choice was heroin or cocaine or whatever it might be. My report shows fentanyl because they're cutting it with it, and now they're even putting more fentanyl than there is other products.
So I was going to say how you reached that point in your toxicology report is that was the most prominent.
Yes.
So I hope people understand that
They need to understand. These people need to understand what they're getting.
And how? I mean, you guys will know how much fentanyl does it take to kill a human being?
The standard medical directive right now.
You're going to give nanograms, I assume?
No.
Okay.
No. The therapeutic dose for pain management begins at 75 micrograms. That's not milligrams. Okay. Potent. They can give a second dose of 75 micrograms.
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 That's something that you could have to look underneath
Yeah,
microscope.
I'd have to pull it up on my very small amount. And carfentanil, which I think you've all heard of, carfentanil is what they use to tranquilize large animals, such as equine, horses, elephants, and that kind of thing. And one drop on the end of a pin, one drop of that will kill a human. And they're reporting now in busts that they're making in different places of the country, they find enough fentanyl when they take the packages that could kill 100,000 people.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that is scary.
Scary stuff. And when you consider that we've got to be very careful as investigators, law enforcement. Let me tell you something. We got some law enforcement, EMS, and fire personnel in this county, and I love them dearly. And I mean that because they do so much for me and for us and for y'all in this county. They really do. And all it would take is, because see, you can get that stuff on your hands and you can absorb it into your hands.
Same effect.
Same effect. Okay. I've actually had, when I was a paramedic, there was a lady that was taking fentanyl patches and was sucking and eating on those. Actually happens.
That's unbelievable.
It's nasty stuff.
Not to change subject, but
maybe we should.
yeah, I'm squirmish enough. I'm a donor. My dad was a donor. I've heard from numerous people that he has helped over the years with his organs. What is your opinion of donating and the benefits that can come of that?
I believe that the Indiana Donor Network is important and it is vital because they do a good job. There are people out there that are alive today because of the Indiana Donor Network. A good friend of mine passed away recently. She had cystic fibrosis. She had a double lung bilateral transplant some years ago, and it changed her life. completely. And she did really well. And I think it was about 7 or 8 years. I don't know exactly. She developed an infection. And that infection came back to get her. It's sad. But there are so many people with kidneys, lung transplants, and the things that they're able to do. I think it's great. And I think it should be a decision that's left up to the family. Not be high pressured into something. But I agree with what they're doing, because they're trying really hard to save a person's life, and they save many out of one.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly it's a subject it's hard for me. I know it's hard for many people, but you guys deal with it every day, and proud donor. Thank you, Jeremy. Back to the fentanyl and the do you know, you said our rates have increased even
Yes.
this year, deaths in the county?
Yes.
And-
Last year, the coroner investigated deaths was 122, which was more than I think previously. Of those, I believe we had 26 overdoses and 22 suicides. Now, I can't go in and say, well, this is the reason we're having all this and everything else, but I really believe that with all the things that have been going on over the last few years, people are depressed, dealing with death and things of that nature, dealing with all the restrictions, dealing with all the stuff that's going on. I won't open Pandora's box yet.
I'm going to when
Good.
you don't. So.
It's very frustrating when you go in and you see all the pipes, the drug residue, the rolled up dollar bills laying around the room and everything else, and the mom standing over here, all she's ever done was marijuana. And it comes back that she had fentanyl, she had heroin, and now they're lacing cocaine with fentanyl. They're even lacing
as
marijuana.
Well as marijuana, right?
Yeah.
And that's just it. That you have people that smoke marijuana recreationally,
Mhm.
or however they say.
Or medicinally.
Right. But at the end of the day, they don't know where it comes from. It all comes from the West Coast or Southwest.
Mm-hmm. South of the border.
And they don't care. They don't care. I mean, they're putting fentanyl in it to get them to keep buying their product from them, enhance their buzz, and it's killing people.
Yeah. One of the
I always heard I'm not in it like you guys, you know, the ins and outs of all this stuff, but the running, not a joke, the marijuana that our parents or grandparents smoked in the 60s and 70s is not the marijuana
Not
they're
even
pushing
close.
today.
Mm-mm.
And I think that everybody has that perception that Cheech and Chong are going to roll a big fatty and everybody's going to smoke one up. We're just going to get hungry and eat Doritos. That's not the case anymore.
Not happening. The unfortunate thing is there's processes that have grown and technology that has grown in genetic alteration of plants. And farmers are benefiting in their corn, soybeans, and things of that nature by the alteration of genetic genomes, if you will, to help them get a 90-day crop. And that's helping them. But they've also figured out a way. There's some really smart chemists out there that are able to go through and find out what the basic genetic structure is, and they can try to copy it. What scares the living daylights out of me is these folks are trying to copy something that people think they're getting what they used to get, and they're not alive to tell about it.
Fentanyl so horrible. They had my wife on the pain patch. Should never, I lost it, be used on patients, which I have heard they don't now. My boy was a donor at 19. I pray for a miracle to bring him home. Instead, I received several miracles when he saved the lives of
Amen.
others. Tanya, that's beautiful. Yeah, it. My thing keeps hitting me is we have education. There's different things in the county now to reach out to help people. Shows like this, and there's other groups that do things.
Yes.
You're educating people. He's educating people, and our death rate's going up.
And the big question is why?
Right. Two things: where we would be without what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and where are we going to be even with what we're doing?
The thing I really believe, and I know that people have sought out prayerfully. People have sought out God, talked and literally talked to Him about it, because that's what we need more of. We need some hope, and we need to be uplifting everyone. The unfortunate thing is that for the longest time, there has been issues with parenting. There's been children born out of sexual desire rather than people wanting to be parents. And then people end up not raising their kids. And the kids don't know how to deal with things. They don't know how to deal with issues. And I've got one suicide that I investigated that is still fresh with me from over a year ago. And this was a kid that was a gamer, loved his games. And when I got up there to investigate that death, now I hope this isn't horrendous for people, and I hope nobody gets mad at me. But there was 17 water bottles about this size right here. I hope they can see that.
They can. You're good.
Okay. There was about 17 of those water bottles in his bedroom on the floor, and they were filled with urine. And they were his. And there was boxes that even had more that hadn't been thrown out yet, because they stay on the game, whatever that game happens to be. And that game desensitizes young people to what death actually is and how final it is, how horrible it is. Hollywood's not helping, because they try to put out the most special effects and CGI they can find on computers to desensitize, I believe, the paying public to handle the horror shows and everything else. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was a kid, I watched Boris Karloff and Lon Chaney Jr. and Wolfman Meets.
You're dating yourself here.
I know.
Were those black and white shows? I'm just asking.
They couldn't colorize them, I don't think. But they, it desensitizes their feelings, their emotions through their eyes and what they hear and what they experience. And they don't know how to deal with life and what life brings.
There is no reset button.
No. I remember playing I think it was Mario Brothers or something with one of my grandsons, and he was little, and he'd start to lose, and he'd hit the reset.
Yeah.
Life doesn't have a reset button. You're exactly right, Kevin. That was well done.
It does, but you got to go in the hole to get it.
You sure do.
Yeah. And we all go in the hole one way or another.
Yes, we do.
You were kidding at my dad years ago. That is a lot of organ donors on here today.
Sure is.
And that's impressive. Organ donor, you still have something you can do on the back of your card or back of your...
You can do it on your driver's license when you renew your license, when you register to vote. I believe that you can do it then.
Oh, I did not know that.
I think so.
I haven't registered to vote for a long time, though, because I'm already registered.
Mm-hmm.
Which is Tuesday,
or you
by the
can
way.
get on Indiana Donor Network's site, and I'm sure that they've got a place on there to fill in.
To fill in.
Yeah.
Lots of good.
This administration's taken enough from me. I don't want to do it.
Amen to that.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Speaking of Pandora's box.
I'm telling you what, I wish they could
You
shut
went there,
that border
Mark,
up down there to keep that stuff down south. But
Right.
anyway,
let's just go there. Where's primary fentanyl made?
Mexico and China.
In China.
So the Chinese were manufacturing it synthetically. Cartel realized they could manufacture it themselves synthetically rather than buy it from the
Mhm.
Chinese. So now
Exactly.
the cartel is mass producing it.
Someone asked me the other day, well, can't you tell the color of heroin? Well, yeah, some heroin is black, some heroin is light brown, dark brown. Well,
White,
some of the
pink,
fentanyl,
purple.
yeah, well, some of the fentanyl coming in from China is purple.
Really?
Some of the fentanyl coming in from Mexico is white or brown.
Really?
Yes.
I want to go back to that, but
Go ahead.
Faith has got... I think it would also be good to talk about the myth of people thinking if you're a donor...
Oh, where'd it go?
Yeah, I got it. Medical services won't save you or do CPR. Why
I
doesn't
don't know
blood
where they
donors
got
get
that
paid
from.
when plasma donors get paid?
Wow. I don't understand the. Unfortunately, a lot of things are about the money, but I don't know why. You know,
I think you're donating blood as a service.
Yeah, you're
When
donating
in a
organs
necessity,
as life-saving.
the plasma is something that you can go in and make a decision on and get paid to do.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think they're not going to not do work on you regardless whether.
They've got Indiana Donor Network now has it set up to where if a person dies in an emergency department, then the emergency department has to call them and let them know there's been a death, and then that will get that referral in Donor Network. Then they will get the name of next of kin, and they'll be contacting the coroner's office. They'll be contacting them to see if they are a donor or not. And they do it tastefully.
Yeah,
they do.
Now they're selling press pills, which
Sure
is fentanyl
are.
pressed pills that look like other pills.
You're absolutely right, Tanya. We confiscated our first pill press a couple weeks
That you
ago.
can buy on Amazon.
Right, they can buy them straight on Amazon.
And people, and I'm going to hit that. People do not know how bad it is here in our own little corner of the world. It's bad all over, but it's very bad in these parts of this world. And they overlook that, and they turn a blind eye to it. This is something we've discussed at length on this show. And I had somebody, and it really gets me under the skin when I see someone post, "Why don't you guys ever discuss the drug issue in the community?" And I'm like, dude, I can point you to about 20 shows a year where this is brought up, and whether it be rehabilitation or help or the death side of life and the fentanyl and everything. I don't know if people just turn a blind eye to it or what, but
it breaks my heart, and I weep when I see a young life that has been snuffed out simply because of an addiction.
Yeah.
And my heart goes out to the parents. It goes out to the families. My wife and I, we had a homeless ministry when we first got into ministry, and we would go out and look for people just to help them. And they'll tell you they're just, they're addicted from day one because they're always chasing that dragon to get that feeling, that euphoria, and everything back again. And it gets to a point where their mother, their father, whoever, has been trying to help them. They've rented them homes. They've sent them to rehab. They've done all these things to where they get to the point and they just say, "I just want to wash my hands." It just stresses out that family so much, and it's so heartbreaking. It is.
Yeah.
And Sharon says, "What is fentanyl and why is it so dangerous?" Fentanyl was developed by pharmacology back in the 60s, I think, or the 70s. And it was developed as a pain management medication because they discovered that it was for very little, they could manage the pain. And a lot of people, that's where the addiction happened, was they managed their pain so well that when they ran out and they stopped the prescription, they found themselves going through, well, the pain's still there. Well, that was the addiction beginning because they were addicted to it.
right.
And the second part of it, Sharon, why would someone sell it knowing it's so dangerous? Because again, you hit it right on the head. It's cash driven.
Yeah.
So
Follow the money.
The addict, they're chasing. They get that endorphin release in their brain, and they're chasing that dopamine high. So they don't care what it is. I mean, it's a sad situation because those addicts that are hooked on this stuff, they don't care. I mean, they just they don't want to get sick from their lack of drug. So they're chasing that high. So they're going to spend whatever they can get their hands on to get that drug, no matter what's in it.
Yep.
So, and it's cheap to produce for the people that are producing it, and it brings good money to them. So
Sure does.
it's cash driven. Supply and demand, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
I have a scanner, and it's unreal. The drugs call suicide calls anymore, and yeah, that's you guys hear them
it
all.
is.
Hear them all.
There's been 4 or 5 today that were, one came out as an attempt. It's just, I hear it and I cringe.
Let's open that door. Since the lockdowns began, and our state wasn't as hard or restrictive as many, but I'd be curious. Do you have numbers, or has it? You just know from what?
I just know I don't really have numbers because you can't break it down to
Reasons.
did they suffer through lockdown? Did they
Yeah.
not suffer through lockdown? This person lost a job.
Yeah, everything associated with lockdown, the jobs, the
The
I
economy.
hate saying this, but sometimes being around your family 24/7 isn't always
It's
the best
not
thing.
healthy.
No, and then sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Of course, it depends on the type of relationship you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you lose your family or lose your job and you can't go anywhere and you can't, your grandma's sick in the hospital, you can't go there. Your kids are locked in school with masks on and all this stuff related to it.
All this outside putting pressures on the individual in a country where they thought they were free.
Right. Yeah, that hits home right there. Yeah.
Ding.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much it's increased. Mike and I both are on the Suicide Overdose Prevention Board, and we study these case by case, and then we discuss it and
Mm-hmm.
how can we change it, how can we fix it. And at the end of the day, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I mean, but back to the old thing: if you see something, say something. You hear something,
Yes.
say something. I mean,
I'm going to go ahead and go here. Better
That's
take these off first.
that's why I added: if you hear something, say something.
Absolutely. I sat on this committee with someone and was good friends with him. My war in the past was Vietnam. His was Iraq. 2 tours. And working with him and talking with him and seeing him, you would not have known. I was not into his private life as much as others, but I had no idea. There was 2 meetings that I sat on the suicide overdose committee, and he was there as a participant. And when I got that call, and I responded to that call, it hurt. And it was a call that I'll always remember it. There's others I'll always remember that I can associate with. There's some I've probably forgotten, but I can jog a memory through a run report or whatever. This is one of those I won't forget. There are families out there right now that are still carrying around a death due to an overdose, a death due to a suicide. Because they'll be like, why didn't I see it? Why didn't I know? I mean, you can talk about the signs of depression, the signs of PTSD, the signs of these things. Just because they were previous military in a war zone somewhere, it doesn't mean they're looking to kill themselves. But there's ways that you can try to maybe perhaps catch up on something or depression or whatever. But there's folks out there that are really good at hiding it of where they are up here.
Right.
And I truly believe it's like being in the bottom of a can. And they're looking up and all I can see is a hole and a dark cloud. That's the way that I have to put it into place. And then I'm okay. But it just, I'm sure that when my time on this is done and I fully retire, I'll have some things, but I thank God that He's always with me. I can look over next to me and I know that He's there, and I thank God for that peace that He gives me. Because there's, the infants that I've had to take care of, the children, for whatever reason. There's one little boy out there that still affects me from 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was. But it's not just me, it's the family, it's the loved ones, it's the ones that were so close. And they still, in their heart and in their minds, they've had closure, they've had the burial, and everything like that, but it's still fresh in their mind. I lost my daughter, she was 45. She died of a massive heart attack 4 years ago. And she was my oldest. Didn't know she was sick. She didn't know anything was going on with her. And unfortunately, that happened to her. I talked to her by text that day. Death is a hard thing. no matter how it occurs. But especially when you've got the overdose problem, or you have the suicide problem, and the pressures of life, the pressures of people that think they know what they're doing and they don't know they're from a hole in the ground. And I'm angry about it. I am, because I think this whole thing was being used to control people
I'm with you
instead
there.
of helping them.
I'm with you there 100%. The center of the brain for addiction is one of the most powerful parts of the brain. When the addict, they will do anything
to get the fix.
Yeah. We don't want to die. We want the pain to stop. We are hopeless, but we do recover if just one.
And Tanya, that's one of the things in some of the classes I teach, and I appreciate you saying that, because at the end of the day, we're all children of God, and it's still someone's mother, brother, sister, daughter, husband,
Yes.
whatever. But I always tell parents, it's hard to tell them how they're enabling them, but on the other hand, you can't shut them out.
No,
Because when you shut them out, then they have no one.
then they have no.
And then they spiral in that downhill,
Mm-hmm.
and then their chances increase. So that's why it's a hard balance to not enable them, but
it's like
also
the edge of a
believe in
razor.
them. So
I mean, it's that fine. The line is, because if you push too hard, you know where they're going to end up, and if you don't push at all, you know where they're going to end up.
we just had one not too long ago, and I'm still in disbelief, and not without going into it. The daughter, when we went to make notification, just knew right away.
Knew who it was.
She was a young teenager, knew why we were there, and had been expecting it, and just handled it like,
It's one you and I did, wasn't it?
yes,
Did we do that one together?
yes. And it was just still in awe, and just how she handled it. But she had prepared herself for this as a young teenager, knowing this was going to happen to her mother. It wasn't when, it was, or if, it was when.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way she conducted herself as a very young lady, and just, I can't fathom what she was going through and how
She had the mindset that she was going to beat this. It wasn't going to be her legacy. She was going to work hard. She was going to raise her kids. She was going to live this life because she saw what that life did.
she dealt with.
Yeah.
Teenage, from the time she was an infant to a teenager, she dealt with
it.
That raises a good question, and it's you'd have to look through the looking glass, so to say. What's going to happen to a lot of these kids that have grown up to their early start of their teens, and they've seen their parents, their grandparents are raising them, and they're fit to be tied. Is this the next wave that's going to turn to the fentanyls, the marijuanas, and we've already discussed the marijuana now, so don't come at me. Is that where they're going to end up, or are we hoping the hand of God reaches in there and pulls them through this hell that they've lived in?
The best way to answer that is that I pray, number one, they have a hunger for help.
Right.
Deep down inside. But I also pray that we have a desire to help and do it in such a way that we do it realistically, not pipe dreams.
Right. I mean, this has to be nationwide.
Yeah.
That the grandparents are raising these kids, and they're just kids. They're 7, 8, 10, 12 years old. And yeah, grandparents get on, and I'm not knocking any grandparent.
No.
They can only do so much in relationship to what their parents could actually do.
And we hear calls on the radio all the time of runs that go out for an unruly child.
Right.
Begging for these parents, brothers, sister, grandparents are begging for help because they don't know what to do to help this child.
You know what my dad would do to an unruly child?
Probably what mine would do.
Where'd you get them zebra stripes at?
And did a couple of times.
Right. Yeah. The old woodshed isn't a bad option.
No, it's not.
You just can't get caught on camera doing it, or you'll go
No,
to jail for it.
and you can't enter it in. You can't enter it when you are in a blind rage of anger.
Right.
You cannot. My dad used to take a walk out the back door and just walk around the backyard. My kids to this day tease me all the time about how I always looked at him and said, "It's going to hurt me a whole lot more than it's going to hurt you."
Yeah.
And they look at me and go, "Yeah, right, Dad."
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's trade places and we'll see.
Yeah.
I met a young lady that was taught by her grandmother how to use Narcan at 10 years old to keep her father alive. She carried it with her until she was 18 and realized she couldn't keep him alive and live with her own life.
That right there,
That's powerful.
that's very profound. Because you get to a point when your life now means nothing because you've devoted your life for that person, friend, loved one, family member, whatever it might be. And I believe that we have it within us to help these people. All of us. Not just in this room, but all of us. Because throwing money at something doesn't fix it. I mean, they started printing money and throwing money at people that were locked up because of a disease or whatever, and they discovered and got addicted to the money because they didn't have to go back to work because they were making more money there than they were working. You had to go there.
Uncle Joe's been trying that for a while. That's not working.
No.
Throwing money at things.
And, but what we have to realize is putting them through 60 days, 90 days, or 6 months of rehab and then suddenly letting them go.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work because one of my first carfentanil deaths was a young man that was in rehab. Mom went and picked him up, brought him home from the airport. He went out with some people the next night, I think, or that night. She gets up in the morning and go check on him. He's sitting on the couch dead. Because they come out of rehab, they've been clean for however long. They get the product, they take as much as they used to. Or it's different.
I can tell this story because it's.
I got to put that.
It's an old case.
Put that beat horse back in the
Just what you're
barn.
saying, because I tell this one at some of the classes I teach, and I was out looking for someone else and came across a mother from out of town and her daughter. Daughter gave me a wrong name. Daughter ended up having 4 warrants, and the mother was living in a hotel here in our county with her daughter. They were from out of county. Mom, out of love for her daughter, had to Narcan her daughter 8 times a day. I think she shot at 14 times a day, and most of them in her neck. And she would die many times a day, but Mom was right there at the Narcan. Mom lost her house, her car, her husband, gave everything up, living in squalor here in a motel, and didn't want her daughter to go to jail. But out of the love for her daughter, she was allowing her to do it, and then she would Narcan her. Mm-hmm. Every time she went out. She told me it was up to 8 times a day. And it just, I couldn't let that soak in, what this woman's life had been through. And I tried to explain to her there's better help for your daughter than doing that. Yeah. So, but it's devastating, the stories you hear and see out here.
And law enforcement they're doing all they can. People look at law enforcement and say, "Why don't you people do more?" They're doing all they can. They're dealing with all of the stuff.
I want to hit something on this before we go any further on this, and because I'll catch hell every time this comes up. But folks on the site, and you guys can yell about it after you get off here. When something goes down in this county, and it gets put on our page specifically is what I'm talking about. The reason why that I don't like someone to say, police officers or ambulance going to West Morgan or East Morgan or South Home, that's all you got to put. And we've addressed this at length. That's all you got to put. Watch that area. There's something bad going on. Because a lot of the times, one of these 2 gentlemen end up having to go there, or they're going to somewhere else until next to kin, they didn't make it. And I know in the information society we live in, at Porch Time and all these other sites, you want to get on there and say, hey, it's a blue sedan, and it looked like they carry... Yeah, you can't do that. Because I know for a fact that it's happened, and I understand we're in information and we're immediate. But the last thing that I want to know, I want to tell somebody is that their granddaughter or their son or their grandma passed away, and they learned it through my site. And that's why I'm so against that, because like I said, I've known it's happened, and that's there is no good way to say that. And you guys are the ones that have to go to that door and knock on it and say, "Hey, your kid's not going to make it home tonight."
And you knock on the door, and they come to the door and say, "Yeah, I know. I was expecting you.
Yeah,
I got a phone call
Had that many times. You're right.
on a
Mike,
person driving their truck into a tree to intentionally commit suicide, and someone on the scene calls the parent and says, 'You better get down here.'" Parents have no business being on the scene of when they've lost a child.
yeah.
That's my personal opinion. I know that some may argue that point, and that's okay.
I want to address Tanya real quick since she put that on there.
Yeah, there's a few
And
things.
thank you, Anne Marie. You're right. God is the only hope.
She's right on the money. What's up, G?
It's because you're a good soul, Tanya. And again, it's one of the things I preach to people all the time, that you can have the most love, support, and money in the world. Offer to send your loved one to the best rehab anywhere in the world, but they have to want to do it. They have to want to do it. But you know that you're right, because you can't give up on hope for them out of love for your family. Period. And that's one of the things we talk about is, yeah, you got to balance that fine line, but you can't give up on them. And how do you
Might be
fix
the
that?
front,
We don't
Corey.
know the answer to that, but obviously I know, and I think you agree, Mike, too, that the best rehabilitation facilities out there are the faith-based ones, period.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Those are the most successful that I see. But how do you get that loved one in there? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and you're right. I mean, kudos to the grandparents out there raising their children. That case we were talking about earlier, where the young girl, and she was being raised with her siblings by her grandparents, and just wonderful people. We both met with them, and of course I've known them for a while, and just, it's hard to tell those people that. You don't realize, you got to dig deep in your gut to tell these people that they've lost their loved one, their son, daughter, sister, whatever. So absolutely, Tanya, I feel your pain, that you're a mom crying out and you want to help, but I mean, it's just what's right and what's wrong here. How do you fix it? How do you force an adult, kind of like what I talked about when we discussed the overdose suicide prevention cases?
Mm-hmm.
We can talk to her blue in the face, but until someone is either forced or wants to do it, it's not going to help.
Yeah, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to learn what intercession can we make, what could have been done, or what resource could have been done before, so it didn't have to end up
Till they
here.
got to that point, right?
And
You're welcome, Denise. Mike's always a good guest on very hard topics. As I told him that night, you're the right man for the job. He's a man of God. He's got the strongest faith I know, and our community, our county, is blessed to have a man like him in that position.
I'll tell you, he comforts us on a lot of calls. So
y'all are awesome. I give God the glory, because he's the one that instilled in me the desire to help people. And I've watched God do amazing things. But Tim hit it on it real hard a while ago. We have to want to be helped. That's the first thing. We have to first admit, I need help, and then have to want to be. I say that okay?
absolutely, and there's no shame in it. And that's what I try to convey to these people that I talk to that have it, are in active addiction. I'm not mad at them. I don't take it personal. There's no shame in it.
I think it makes you more of a person to stand up and say, "Hey, I've got a demon in me controlling me," and it's.
I'd much rather see them that than have to tell their loved one that they're deceased from it. For what? For these drugs?
I don't believe in making telephone notification. And one night we had an overdose, and I went to make the notification, and the only one home was her 16-year-old daughter, taking care of the other 3 kids, because they lived with parents or something, and they were allowed to live there. Kids are having to grow up way too soon.
Yeah.
There's way too much being put on their shoulders. And you have this chain of events that's occurring. You got young people that are trying to work and trying to do what's right, and they can't find babysitters for their kids, or they don't have the money to pay for a babysitter for the children. You've got all these different things going on, and it's hard right now. And I just keep on praying. But let me say this to you. Thanks for praying for me, because I know you do. And I know there's a lot of folks out there right now that pray for Debbie and I. And I thank you so much, because I feel those and I need them. And like I said, I'm okay. A little teary-eyed, a little weepy, but I'm an emotional guy. Just ask Debbie, she'll tell you.
We've had tears in this room before. You remember your friend Valita's been in here a couple times. So.
She's a good
God
girl.
love her. She's the best.
Is a good girl.
I think she's coming up a few weeks. So, Debbie, she's down in Florida?
Yeah, we have a very close friend.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little Vietnamese lady that lived with us when we lived down in Florida. And the woman can cook. Oh, gracious.
There's Brian. Give you props for going out notifications. That's a tough job. I've been with a few of those chaplains in Indy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's living down the rough life in Florida now. So,
yeah.
You know, he's...
We moved back, and people always go, Mike, why did you move back? Grandkids.
Yeah.
But Debbie's down there helping her because she was in a very, very, very bad accident in January. Her boyfriend was killed.
Oh, wow.
She nearly died. She's had to have several different surgeries, and Debbie's down. This is her ministry, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And some people say, hurry up, Debbie, get back. Mike's a grump. But no, I'm not being a grump. I'm fine.
I don't know that I've ever seen you grumpy.
Well, there's been a few.
I'm sure Debbie may disagree with me, but
Now, I think I saw you grumpy one time during one of our auctions. Weren't you bidding and end up Debbie was bidding against you too? Wasn't that you? And one was sitting up here.
Oh, yeah, say it ain't so.
So, you know, we've had a few shows called the Hour of Hope on Thursday nights.
Yes, and that's gonna.
And we've had some fantastic people in here with Larry and Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Hayes, and those two guys, we can't shut them up once they start talking about God. I don't know what it is about them.
Ted, is that the
I know how that
Larry
works.
brought in?
Yes,
The
he was
motorcycle
in here
guy?
last.
Yeah.
I want to get you in here with those two guys.
Not a problem.
And you know what? If we can,
You could be in serious trouble.
what I will sit here and start the show and get up and walk away and go outside and listen and just let you three run with it, because I agree. I think it is tough down here, brother. It rained all day. I couldn't get to the pool.
We feel for you.
Yeah.
Oh,
That sucks.
I think I think that the three of you could, and it's not just spreading the word of God; it's just spreading the joy of God.
mm-hmm.
And
Spreading that message of hope.
yeah, you guys,
Exactly.
yeah, you three,
And
yeah.
what you call that program? What'd you say it was called?
Hour of Hope.
The Hour of Hope.
Yeah,
Okay, it's not for me to bring a Bible in and start beating people over
Right.
with the Bible. It's to bring in and show them the true hope.
well, you know what
There is hope.
and they know. I told them I had this idea about doing it, and I wanted to call it Religion for Dummies.
That works.
Because I mean,
I heard that. That's good.
I can read the Bible and get to a verse, and then I want to research it for 7 months or a year and
Yeah.
never get past that.
Mhm.
But when you bring a man of faith, deep faith that you three have, then
Is
you
that a yellow book?
yeah, right.
With the crooked.
Cliff notes, yeah. But you guys can explain it, and the message is conveyed a lot better than me researching for 7 hours over one word.
The precious writings of God, the Holy Bible. I call it the basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the acronym.
Yeah.
BIBLE.
Yeah. It's good stuff right
When
there.
I went through the seminary, and I learned a lot, I did. But the real, I get comfort going into church and preaching in church because I feel like I'm comfortable. I know these folks, and they're smiling at me.
Right.
It's when you get out here and you're sharing Jesus Christ with somebody and they look at you going, well, I've tried that and it doesn't work for me. And then all of a sudden God will hit me with something. I'll just say one word to them. Have you ever seen tears go sideways?
Yeah.
They literally explode because God knows what to say to them.
Yeah.
Not Mike. And that's what we need.
Well, we're going to get you in here on Thursday with those two guys. Especially we can get Ted back in. They were in here for almost 2 hours. Well, the first show we had was the Thursday before the tornadoes hit Mayfield, Kentucky.
Oh.
And you want to talk about bringing things together. We'd have never had the group that we did had we not started that show that night, because instantly everybody associated with that show and we were talking to formed a group and put the stuff together to take down there. It wouldn't have happened from here.
Ball watching that, and I was just oh God, was so awesome.
Well, that Corey's video when they got down there, he let out some, man. He was there in one area and he was in another. They went down at the first load, I went down the second. And then we've had another show since then where we're like, man, if a natural disaster happens after the second show, we may have to either change the name or get rid of it.
We're going to have him up here soon because I think his wife is coming back from the hospital finally.
They're home.
They are home now. That's right. They were on their way back.
Yeah, he wants to go fishing.
Andrew and Charity Oglesby.
Didn't we? Yeah, we gave
Kentucky
got some money for him.
And we raised a lot of money for them. But I don't know if you saw the show and the photos we put out, but Mayfield was the center of attention in Kentucky. And then there was a small town, Bremen, Kentucky. Was it Bremen? Bremen, Kentucky. And Bremen, Kentucky lost the most people in Kentucky. But Andrew and Charity had a 2-month-old son. 5 months.
I think so, yeah.
5-month-old son. And they had just bought their house. And their house was picked up during the tornado. And after the tornado, when Andrew came to, he was trying to lift a wall off his wife. She had a crushed spine. And their 5-month-old child was killed. Was tossed out of the house. And I'm telling you, their faith was moving. Was it not, Corey? His faith in God was just amazing. And that's what's kept that family together.
That is so awesome.
And just the only thing that survived his home, and I'm telling you,
there's
everything was, this town was leveled. It was just like
there is
you
pictures
took these
of
city
this.
blocks, that's how close the homes were, and you leveled it. Corey, what was standing at the only thing standing at his home that he had just made and set?
Cross. Front yard.
Had a cross in the front
I
yard
think lit up with Christmas lights.
Christmas lights on it.
That was the only thing left in almost the entire little town.
Not touched.
In Bremen, Kentucky, his
You'll know God's presence.
Yeah.
And you know,
Believe or
and
not
when he
believe.
saw that, he knew that it was God's work and God's will then. But he's going to come up and go fishing with us.
Hit like that. He said, couch.
Yeah.
That was the wall fell on the couch, and that was the only area in the house they could have probably survived.
I like the story that he has when you guys met him down in Louisville or Evansville.
Evansville.
Oh, Evansville.
Because she was taken to Evansville Hospital.
Well, they
were
still
so
had their
inundated.
mask on, and Timmy's talking to him, and he couldn't understand him. So he finally the guy takes his mask off
His jaw's wired shut.
from the
That's
from
why
the.
we couldn't.
That's why you couldn't understand.
They barely talked to him, and because he's
he
got
had
this
some
mask on.
Pretty severe injuries. Too.
Yeah.
He had a
Broke his
broken
jaw.
jaw, broken leg.
Yeah.
So, young couple, and he had the strength and to find his family. He had a broken leg and a broken jaw and something else. He had a C-collar on too. So he stood up on that broken leg and was trying to lift that wall off his wife and find his child. And unfortunately, his child passed. He was 5-month-old,
But do you see how it touches your heart when you're able to go down there and talk to those folks? Because what do you take as most important of all? You took
Hope.
Yeah, you took water and clothes and diapers and those, but
Hope.
you took
Hope.
Because that's real. Is being able to touch people, and God orchestrates that you get down there and touch people.
They knew there was someone there.
Oh
for
yeah,
them.
Oof,
When
man,
we
so
took
much.
they took all the food the week and stuff, supplies, and we did the bus load of toys and everything down there 2 days before Christmas Eve. And when we got to that center, and it's a little church right off of 231, right in Bowling Green, Kentucky. They had a facility set up almost as big as Goodwill with food and clothing and everything like that. They were good with that. And he'll tell you they had more water than the Mississippi River down
Was
there.
that where you were filming? Was in that building?
Yes.
I thought it was you or Corey. I didn't know.
I think we both ended up there, didn't we not? No.
But
you
it
were.
looked like it was a big
Yeah,
enough
it was.
warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
that
was a
they had.
church.
Yeah.
Because they went to Bowling Green and I went to Mayfield.
Well,
Yeah.
And then I went to Bremen.
Well, the video I
later on.
mauled was an old Sears
Yeah.
department store.
Yeah,
that
that's
closed
where
down
he
the
was.
mall.
That thing
It
was-
was huge.
It was.
That was in.
But
they were
had-
filling it.
They had no toys 2 days before Christmas. We showed up and those workers were crying because
Mhm.
2 days later, Christmas Eve, they had a line 2 miles deep of cars where they are passing out our toys to each family that come through there. And that was
That's awesome.
That's
Deb and
incredible.
I sit there at home watching that, just bawling like baby.
Oh, he'd make you cry when
Oh,
that
yeah.
big old bear starts crying. He's emotional. But
When we went down there to meet him, we're like, how do you send hope to a guy that his wife's spine's crushed? He told us she may never walk again, may not live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and his jaw's wired shut, and they just lost their 5-month-old child too. And he just popped out with a message of God to us and faith, and it was
the dude was strong.
Yeah.
And then he started talking about fishing on top of that. So
Wow. That just melts your heart, don't it?
Well, Mike, we got to get you in here on Thursday night. Is that all right?
That's fine.
I mean, you'll probably have to leave your phone out in the car. I hate telling you that.
I'll be fine. I'll just give it to Debbie and say, "Here you go, baby. There's for me to come in."
We'll have to get Ted and
Mike won't leave his phone.
No, I know.
Oh yes, he will.
Get Ted and Larry in here. Saying we appreciate you isn't enough, sir. As I said, our county is blessed to have you in that position, and we've had some great ones prior to you, and it just continues. We're lucky to have you, and we're honored to always have you come in here. I tell you that every time,
I'm
and you're
blessed
like,
to be here.
stop it. But
I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be here, and I thank you so much for answering my call. I
Yeah.
really do.
I mean,
Appreciate.
how
what
could I
y'all
not? You know, I appreciate what you do, and from my point of view, God is the only thing that pulled me out of the darkness that should have killed me. You.
do. Amen.
Amen. You're absolutely right.
Mike, do you have anything in closing you want to do?
Pray.
That's up to you, sir. I'll gladly listen to you pray.
We're gonna have a moment of prayer, and y'all out there want to join us, please. Most precious Heavenly Father, I thank you, Lord God, for this opportunity to lift you up and lift my Lord and my King Jesus, because he paid a price for each of us to have hope. We have belief that you did not leave us forsaken. Father, I thank you for those that are out here listening to the sound of my voice and our voices, Lord God, and I lift them up to you, because there are some that are listening that are hurting. Perhaps something that one of us have said here, is able to help them and give them hope, and know that they have hope, because it's through you, our blessed hope, that your peace goes far beyond any understanding that I have, because I know what you've done for me. So, Father, I thank you for this day, this opportunity. I thank you for what Kevin's doing, what you called him to do, what you called Timden and Corey to do. It is so wonderful to serve such an awesome God as you. I give you honor, praise, and glory, Lord. I thank you for your blood, Jesus. For it's in your name I give thanks and pray. Amen.
Amen.
Corey, anything to add? Timmy, anything to add?
I think we covered a lot.
I think we covered a lot. And I thank God for the opportunity.
Tomorrow night we have Monday Music Hour. Thank you guys so much for engaging with us tonight. Shows like this mean a lot to us. It's why we do what we do. Is just as Mike said. This is one of the reasons. Yesterday's was awesome, and I love doing that for the community. But shows like this, we always say if we can affect one person and change their life, it was worth every bit of it. So,
Amen.
love you guys. We will see you soon tomorrow night. As a matter of fact,
All right.
talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much, and thank you all out there.
Mike.